The spur gears drive the blades on your hedge trimmer. The gears are driven by a gear on the clutch. One side of the gear has an eccentric that engages with the blade. Over time, the teeth on the spur gear can wear or fail. The eccentric can also wear. This could cause excessive play in the blades, or cause the blades to not reciprocate at all. Replacing the spur gears is a repair that you can do yourself, and I'm going to show you how.
Hi, I'm Mark Socha.
Do-it-yourself repairs like these are easier than you might think. From lawn machines to cordless drills, kitchen mixers,
Outdoor grills.
our how-to videos walk you through each repair from start to finish. So doing it yourself means never having to do it alone.
Let's get started.
I'll begin by removing the nuts that clamp the blades together. And now remove the bolts that secure the blades. You want to be careful not to cut yourself on the sharp blades. Next, I'll remove the gearbox cover. Now I'll remove the felt seal and the first spur gear. Now I'll remove some of the gearbox grease, and I'll remove the first blade. Now I'll remove the second blade and the large spacer washer. And with the blades removed, now I can remove the second spur gear. There's a second thin spacer washer that I want to remove from the gear and place back on the shaft. And I'll clean up the rest of the grease out of the gearbox. In this case, I'm just going to be replacing the grease. If your gears had failed to where you had missing teeth on the gears, you'd need to carefully remove all of the grease so you didn't leave any metal behind in the gearbox that could ruin the new gears. Now we'll install the first of the two new spur gears. The spur gears have a timing mark on each side. This bottom gear needs to be installed with the eccentric pointing out. So I'll align the first timing mark with the gear on the clutch. Once I have this gear in place, it's important that I don't rotate the gears or I'll throw off my timing for the second spur gear. Now install the first blade. This blade should have the bevels facing away from me when I'm looking at the underside of the hedge trimmer. I'll place it over the eccentric, again being careful not to rotate anything. And I'll replace the spacer washer. Now I'll place the second blade on top of the first, and I'm going to align the teeth top to bottom over each other. And now I'll install the second spur gear. This gear is installed with the eccentric down so it locks into the knife. And again, I align the timing mark with the clutch gear. You may need to adjust the blade so that it locks onto the eccentric. Next, I'll replace the grease. And I'll reinstall the felt seal. And the gearbox cover. Now reinstall the blade guard, the end guard, and I'll place a washer on each of the bolts over the blade guard. Now reinstall the blade bolts. Initially, I want to tighten each blade bolt tightly. The important thing as I tighten each bolt is to try to do it consistently. Get about the same amount of torque on each one. Now with the bolts tightened, I want to take my wrench and loosen each bolt 1/2 turn. And that'll set the proper tension on the blades. Now reinstall each of the blade nuts. I want to take one wrench and place it on the bolt, making sure that the bolt doesn't move. Then I'll thread the lock nut onto the bolt with the domed part of the nut facing out, and I'll use a second wrench to tighten it. And I'll do this process all the way down the bar. I'm using socket extensions to keep my hands away from the blades. Just in case I slip, I don't want to get cut. For the last nut up behind the handle, I'll need a slightly longer extension. And that's how you can replace the spur gears on your hedge trimmer. Be sure to check back often for new videos and expert advice. If you found this video helpful, give us a thumbs up.
And leave a comment.